I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
had to jump down there and save the American flag. And make sure the pup's okay. We care about pups around here. I'd like to also mention real quick, because we're talking about animals. Turkey trot's coming up! Thanksgiving! You ready for the turkey trot? All right, I got my turkey trot shirt on, and guess who's MC at the turkey trot?
Well,
Felicia Alexander let me know earlier, and really cool. I always like going out there, and we have a great time. So it's early in the morning.
Yeah.
Get on out there. I think pups can go in it too, I believe.
Are they going to put it in
pups,
Rialto again, or Fontana, or whatever? Or
No,
is it
no,
come to San Bernardino?
no. We're in at the airport over there at San Bernardino International Airport.
I thought the last time it was in
Well,
some
you
other
usually
city.
don't wake up that early to come out and join us. That's why. It's a 3 coffee morning, believe me.
No. You know what my problem is I say, self, you spend 365 days a year in the city, and you never leave, and you're in the city from like 8:30 in the morning until after 6 at night when you finally get home. Why do you want to go out anymore in the city? It's the weekend. Go to some other city, okay?
Because I get excited by saying, I get to tell all those people, I love San Bernardino.
Yeah, Robert, he likes the fame. Me, I'm like, no. I just want to be left alone.
It's actually pretty cool, the little bit of fame you get at the turkey trot, because they've noticed that I've been there for 4 years, and it really is for a good cause, for CERT, and helping them get their equipment up and stuff. So they really work hard on it, and it's grown and grown and grown. It's been something that's been actually makes the city look pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just getting people up before Thanksgiving, but believe me, they're all hungry after they leave there. They're ready to go get some grub. And they usually get the mayor out there. And last year there was quite a few councilmen, and there was some. I think, was Pete there? He might have been there, or congressman too.
I wasn't.
There's a lot of people there, so.
I thought about it.
And
I passed.
This year there might not be any because it's after the election, and they'll be like, ah. So that's one thing that I did want to talk about. Get a little away from the pups. We can get back to it, but I'd like to talk about politicians and how they pay attention to you when it's election time. So how do you tell if you're getting played during election, and then right after election they lose your phone number and you never get to talk to them again? So what do you think, Carmel? I'll ask you.
Well, I think that if it has anything to do with this city of San Bernardino and these council people, you're always getting played. I think they don't really have a real, true, genuine bone in their body. And I would say if they weren't your friend all year long, then they ain't your friend during election time. And if they only your friend all year long because you contributed to their campaign, you really ain't their friend. Because look at all the people who backed the charter, and look at all the people who are mad now.
And just to say, but if you pick the wrong team, you'll end up like me. See, I picked McCamick's team over Kerry Davis's team, and that's exactly where I stayed. There ain't no special perks or nothing like that. And they even said, oh, well, we'll let you do the turkey trot. No, Felicia Alexander let me do the turkey trot, right? The city did not let me do that. I do that out of the kindness of my heart, and it's probably hard to get someone up that early in the morning with San Bernardino go do it, you know? But in the grand scheme of things, I want everyone to know that if you've created something and you're yearning to have the politicians involved, you should yearn somewhere else. This is why. If you're doing good, those politicians will show up like flies on. They'll be everywhere. Yeah. I didn't even say it like that. So, like, they will. They'll. Now, there are good politicians, and I've met a few.
Yeah.
And I can usually tell if they're true, if they act real. Now, one thing I have to say about Ms. Marquez, Virginia Marquez, our councilwoman, since she's not running now, I actually saw a side of her the other day at an event where she was actually pretty cool and real,
like a normal person.
Yeah, like cussed a little, like all San Bernardinans do, and you know, gave a real opinion and not a mucking on the fence opinion.
Hey, what if I said a cuss word while he wasn't there? Would he be so mad?
No, yeah. Well, the thing is, if we say a cuss word on here, even while the engineer's hiding out over there, guess what happens? It's a $250,000 fine.
Well, how come at the beginning they let us use cuss words?
Yeah, they don't. They
used to.
They beep it out all the time. We just didn't know it.
Oh.
But we can say him, just not what he's hiding in there.
I was just kidding.
Yeah, the engineer has no idea we're having a total conversation about him. What's going on there, Nick? Where'd you go? He disappeared. But really, when you can be a politician and you've built up your votes and you've made it out there, and you want to win again, this is how I suggest you do it, and to be seen as a real person. Tell them the truth.
Yeah.
If they come up to you and say, "Oh, we would like you to do this for the animal shelter," don't just be like, "Oh, we're going to check on that," or "Oh, we're going to have consultants look at it." Be truthful and say, "We can't afford it. We're gonna contract out with Riverside County. There's not anything that is gonna change that unless you can find a way to have another piece of property and somebody else fund it, and maybe we could help it that way. But until we see that option, this is what we're gonna do." Now, that's honesty. But most of the time they ride the fence and try to make it seem like it's either or. Just be honest and give someone to actually work for, you can actually work against that or try to make it better, right?
Yeah.
Right, you can fix that because you got an on. If you're like, "Oh yeah, everything's gonna be okay," and then all of a sudden on like day 364, you're like, "Oh, we sold the shelter, all the dogs are dead." I mean, come on.
Yeah, and
right.
then all the people are devastated, and all those pups lose their lives.
Yeah.
And when you could have actually, the people like you who rescue them could have saved every single one of them, and none of those 8 pups that just got put to sleep had to die.
Yeah.
That hurt.
For no reason.
I cried when I read that, and it's not fair for those pups to have to just die for no reason.
Happened?
They euthanized 8 pups from the San Bernardino shelter.
What?
Yeah, it was
Puppies?
11.
11.
So when the new manager came in, the temporary manager, the lieutenant,
The cop.
Yes, he put down
The
11.
dog killer.
11 dogs that were past their due date.
So so what
Were they pit bulls?
What did the pups do?
They were all kinds. One was actually 6 months old. They were just, some of them were pups.
Just little babies, and that's not right. There's got to be better ways to
All dogs go to heaven, buddy.
and rest those pup souls. But I hope we can get a handle of that, and we get to the point where
That's
there's
why they let
none.
go of Oscar, because he was making the shelter work too well.
Yeah.
That's exactly
He was
it.
helping
And
them.
they wanted to fail. Robert was freaking. Now they killing dogs. Now you got me mad.
How can you? How can you
got my
live with
dog from the
yourself? How can
shelter.
you sleep at night when you know that you signed a paper to put someone to sleep?
How could you kill a
I don't know.
dog?
I don't get that.
What kind of person kills a dog?
There's got to be a better way. And then in the public relations mess that you're getting this is not how it's supposed to be. It could be done way better.
Much better. And rebranding the city is not going to help its image. It's still going to be the same if you keep doing this.
I mean, this is what I told the city. You know what? People really don't give a damn about homeless people, okay? But they give a damn about dogs.
They do.
If you want to change this city, you freaking start loving the dogs, because then you're going to have 1 million people having your back.
Yeah.
You know, all the love for the dogs that the people have, that's enough love to change the city.
Yep, you back some dogs, and there you go.
And everybody loves a good pup, man. I mean, they changed lives. When we got our first pups, like my mom was going through like my father's suicide, and it was devastating for her, and I don't know if she could have made it without No. And then Clobug came. Clobug passed away. God rest Clobug's soul. But No still helps me, you know? I can just imagine how many other people's lives have been changed by a good pup, and that could be an adult pup.
Again.
Well, and once these dogs end up in the shelter, dogs and cats, and once they end up in the shelter, they're defenseless. Everything rests upon how the shelter handles it. So,
and you guys are like their lawyers, kind of.
To a degree, and we try and save as many as we can, but there's only so much you can do. And after that, they don't really have a decision in their fate. And at least with people can make decisions and they can work at things, but a dog, they have no choice, and we need to protect them and make sure they're as safe as we can make them.
So hence why I was bringing up the politicians and how they act during the elections, because we are in election season.
We are.
And I kind of felt like at that last meeting, the way I saw the head. See, when you can ask Carmel, when you go to these meetings every single time, and like I've missed about 3 meetings, and I probably can count them. And I don't always stay to the end now lately because I've been doing other things on the same day. But once you stay to a whole meeting over and over and over for 5 years, you start to see how they act.
Yeah.
And you know how they act when they're getting what they want. You know how they act when they're not getting what they want. You know when they act when they compromise and it's okay. You know how they act when they don't give a.
Yep.
Right? So, like, when I was watching them and how they didn't want to deal with the rescue that day. They didn't. They don't want it to be an election issue. So it sounded like to me like they pawned it off. So that's why I'm telling anyone that will listen, do not trust anything they say. Go find another piece of property. Find a person that will fund it, or group, entity, whatever it is. Find someone that will help it. If it's got to be done grassroots where you have $2 donations from everybody, I bet you they could get it. But at least give them the opportunity to do that. Like, help hold their hand. Don't just automatically contract out to Riverside. Yeah. Because Riverside wants to pad their budget. I heard they possibly were having monetary problems on their own. Right?
Oh,
and they
I
wanted
hadn't heard
to
that.
make sure that they had contracts in there. So if they're why couldn't they do that here in San Bernardino? Yeah. And no pup deserves to be traveling on the hot freeway. You know?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you that I picked up a few dogs, and I knew the San Bernardino shelter was going to kill them, and I couldn't kill them. So I took them to Riverside, and I told them that I found them around the corner from my friend's house, and I gave them there. And do you know that was the worst drive of my entire life? Yeah. Was getting there and getting back after work.
It's awful.
Okay, I was
like, bumper.
But I felt happy because at that time they were killing all the dogs in the San Bernardino shelter. Mm-hmm. And I looked, and 2 days later, the dogs that I dropped off that I found on the side of the freaking road had been adopted. So I was happy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I was like, the drive was worth it.
So we give them props there.
Yes.
But that still doesn't, like, there's no air conditioning in those trucks, right?
No.
And like, how many can they take, really? Like, there's a lot of stray dogs that need help in our city.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like the fire department. They are like, oh, yeah, we can take on San Bernardino because, see, they want San Bernardino's money. They want that cut of the pie. So then they take on San Bernardino, and you can't really take on San Bernardino because it's a bigger problem than you really thought it was. Yeah. And then once, like, it might not be a problem to San Bernardino because San Bernardino got all these people loving and helping and volunteering. Mm-hmm. But then once you kick them out, and then you do that to them, like, you got this whole problem that you really can't deal with.
Right. Yeah.
And then guess what they do? Every single time they come ask for more money.
More money.
And
then
always.
Make you give it to them. Like, there'll be some new freaking utility tax, like $1.20 to fund the dog shelter that nobody wanted outsourced.
Yeah. And when we could have handled it all in house, and we just needed someone putting a little water on that plant, or once you water any of these issues, the dog advocates come out.
That's
of
what
the
I'm
cracks,
saying. There's so, I mean, that is the thing, is there are so many dog lovers or animal activists that you could build a new shelter, you could fund a new shelter, and I'm telling you, it could be the blessing that the city needs to go forward. So, if they treat the dogs like they treat everything else, I'm sorry to say, like, Robert don't want me to say this, but the city's going to hell. And we're all either going with it.
It's going. Well, I'm going to save it with tourism. You wait. We watch it. All I need is safety. And we got mega art. We got Legends of the Arrowhead. We're taking it to the tourists. We're going to have a fly here. When we're going to leave.
When are we going to get that safety?
We need it now. And okay, that can move us into that. Did you hear about that shooting with it's like the OK Corral in San Bernardino?
Oh yeah.
But I wanted to tell you guys something.
Okay, go ahead.
Anybody who is elected right now should not be reelected for the simple fact that 11 dogs got put down. So there goes Fred Charette. There goes John Valdivia and Mayor Davis. So
at the same time,
I think y'all better just put in a write-in candidate, okay? Because they all gotta go.
And if you are an animal advocate or animal lover, I want you to go up to both these candidates, John Valdivia and Mayor Kerry Davis, and maybe all the rest of them too, including city manager Andrea Miller. Go up to them all and say, "Is it all right in your mind to kill a dog?"
No.
Just look them in the eye. Maybe I'll do that on video for them, and just look them in the eye and say, "Is it all right to kill a dog?" And they'll probably have some political answer there. They're probably coming up with one right now because I know they're going to need one.
Yeah.
Don't accept that as an answer. Look them right in the eye. Yes or no.
Yep.
What is it all right? And they're not going to know what to do. They're going to squirm out of it somehow.
They will.
Let's ask Jim Movihill.
Yeah. Is it okay to kill a dog? Are those 11 dogs all right to murder them for no reason?
No reason.
Poor pups. Yeah, it does get you.
You shouldn't even told me that. I can't even think about nothing.
All right. Well, we have to. We don't have to get into this, but I'd like to get into this because this is what I thought of when I saw that the city manager put out this article that said enough is enough. Now, I personally believe that there is a time to stand up, but you have to watch the way you stand up because when you don't live in our city. And you live in some, huge house and away from our problems here in San Bernardino, you don't really understand. At some of these spots, and I actually was out canvassing and giving signs out for Mr. Ramos out in the area near Linwood, near these apartments. Going in these apartments, I don't know, Mr. City Manager, if you've ever been in one of these apartments or not. You probably might have seen outside, but go in there.
I've been in.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes it's like, wow, this is a little bit scary. Yeah. And it wasn't the people, it was the atmosphere, dark and sometimes
dingy.
Trash. Yes, and that's because the landowners aren't taking and the managers aren't taking care of that properly. Now, say you live there because you don't have the rent money.
Right.
Like you have to live somewhere cheap because you can't afford to live in a $300,000-$400,000 house in Orange County.
And you think living in Linwood is better than living downtown?
Yeah. So like you live there, and then all of a sudden something happens. Your son's bike gets stolen or whatever. You don't call the police.
No.
You usually talk to your neighbors, and they find out. And if they can get it back, they'll get it back.
Right.
Or if someone's picking on you, you go to the local gang. You don't go to the police. If you go to the police, then all those other people that are bad in the neighborhood consider you a rat.
Yep.
And that's dangerous for people because I love the San Bernardino Police Department. I really do. I know there's good people on there, and there's 11% that live there. There's bad apples and everything, but there are good people on there that want to save pups. Yeah. And I bet you they would. I bet you there's a good majority of them that want to save pups. They just probably can't say anything. I know, good, thank you, Carmel. but when the police come to these like OK Corral shootouts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this may be talked about like the old West days, man. Especially on San Bernardino streets.
Yeah.
And you have this occur, and then the police show up, and they're there. They do their big investigation, but then they leave.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting there talking to them, the gangbangers that didn't go to jail, they're going to be mad that you did that. So they have to be on it the whole time. And in the bad apples, you got to get rid of them. And then you got to make the people feel safe. And if our poor feel safe, then the rich should feel safe too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So please, don't just say enough is enough and blame it and send code enforcement in on all these people and everything. Go to the major landlords of these places, and I think that's what they've been doing, and really handle that. But don't ask people to rat when it's risking their life if you don't really understand what you're talking about. And I'm sorry you don't. You did not grow up here in San Bernardino. You don't know what we dealt with. You didn't go down on 3rd Street in the middle of the night when I was a kid and know where I could walk everywhere.
Yeah.
When you really live here, you can go where you know where not to go, right? You know that too, right, Carmel? Certain places you just don't go at night in San Bernardino, right?
Yeah. I probably do, but yeah.
Yeah, I do too, especially in politics season, because you have to put signs up in those areas too. And we hope that's really how you make change, team, is you vote.
Yeah, you got to vote.
Exactly.
Even the poor. I mean, there's nothing more that I could, if you could do anything. I know they make you think that it's not necessary, but if you vote, you can make a difference.
Especially in your city.
We're just not voting enough, team. We're having people we're having the elite make all our decisions for us.
And they're not the right ones.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, this is like, I know this to be so true. So, I haven't taken the wrap off my car. I might never take it off my car, okay? 3 or 4 people stop me every day. When's the election? I'll vote for you. Da-da-da. And I'm like, really? You guys, nobody is paying attention.
Yeah, and it's by design, because if you only have to pay to get 12,000 votes,
you own the city with a little bit of money.
Yeah. But if you have to pay for 70,000 votes to reach that amount of people, it costs a lot more money. It's a lot harder. So it's like they want to dumb down the whole voting system, so we won't do it. They're like, oh, it don't make it.
Well, our school district has dumbed down all the kids, and so that on top of the welfare checks in the city is just really made.
But we have good teachers in the school system. Yes, we do.
Well, some.
Yeah, we got one right there.
Some. But actually, I'm going to tell you. I think that the elementary schools in San Bernardino are cool all the way up to 6th grade, and I think after 6th grade they forget about you. And that's my honest opinion, because I've had kids in middle school and I've had kids in high school, and it was even at Cajon, and I always thought Cajon to be the best high school, and it was all a freaking joke. And they spend more money on school police than they actually spend. I mean, they spend billions of dollars. I took the police academy, and they spend billions of dollars on school police. If they spend billions of dollars on educating our kids, man, they'd all come out of there voting.
Yeah.
In 12th grade, why aren't they registered to vote, and why aren't they all excited to be like, yeah, I get to vote, I'm 18, and this is what I read, and this is how I do it.
That's actually how I was on my 18th birthday.
Exactly.
I went out to vote.
Too.
It should be a big deal, and they try not. And then when this is what
I think Ronald Reagan was my president.
California tried to automatically register you to vote, and it's been the biggest hassle ever. And what it is the elite do not win if everybody votes. That's why we need to vote.
Yes.
We can get people that are like us in there.
Right. That's it. That's like, I mean, it's a problem. It is just such a big problem. I mean, when you got if you got a city of 220,000 people, and you got 89,000 registered voters, and you got 12 to 16,000 that shows up. I mean, you can have that many friends on Facebook, I mean, and then you push one button and it's like, oh, hey, all we got to do is care about these people for 6 months prior to any election. We can screw off all the money. We can screw off the city. We can dumb it down. We can keep the poor poor. We can keep the rich rich. And everybody's car can get screwed up from the potholes. I mean, I just...
Yeah.
There is a lot of freaking... I mean, if I could tell you one... how many people have told you this, Miss City Manager? Fix the potholes. There is potholes over this whole city. You're like, I'm serious. I swerve by 3 potholes on. Now, it's not. This is not just a poor area problem. Except up
this is everywhere.
Carmel gets her street paved up there, right? But like on Valencia Avenue, I'm dodging potholes every morning trying to get up there.
Like, if they would have only paved some different streets than our streets.
I saw that the other day. I was like, like we were coming down from Palm, you know, because we drive up there and go hiking and stuff, and ride 2N49, the trail there. And we come down, and like Jim looks over and sees that area that's paved, and he's like, "It must be election time." And I just started laughing. I love it. I was like, "You sound like Carmel, man."
I mean, but here's the deal. So I did some research, and I found out that the reason that they paved our streets is because they had like some HOA money or some extra money, right? We never once paid HOA. Oh. So they paved the people who actually paid HOA and who didn't pay that money anymore, because after the fire annexation they stopped paying that little bit of money, right? It was actually the other side of the neighborhoods, which is real crazy. Like the older, newer side, it was this side, and we're on this side.
So they paved the wrong side? Well, but you were saying they didn't even need it there.
Oh, so look, our houses were built in 2006, right? We're in 2018, right?
Yeah.
They repaved our streets. We got brand new freaking streets, and drive down Waterman.
Oh yeah.
Like my dad. Okay, so my car's been in the shop, and my dad has a brand new truck that he barely has like 16,000 miles on. I've been driving it through the city, and it's a big truck, and I'm sitting here thinking like, damn, I think the potholes are screwing with this stuff. I'm like, shit, my dad is gonna be pissed at me, you know? And I'm like, but what it is, it's not, and I'm like, I'm not a bad driver. It's just the city. It's just the city. It just will
maybe
wreck
the
your vehicle.
City manager thinks that Domino's is going to fill the potholes with all the pizzas.
I've been calling Domino's, man. I've been turning them in. I was thinking maybe okay.
Like Domino's doesn't even accept any of them from San Bernardino. Right? You done broke the bank.
You're gonna have to pay the whole dang city if you want to deliver a pizza in the city.
We love you, Domino's. Come on in here. We need
to have it be on time and not sloppy.
Maybe we should ask them about helping a shelter.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah, instead of fixing a pothole.
Maybe we should pave a pothole for a dog.
Just think about that. If we could have a big company like Stater Brothers sponsor each individual animal, because that's as good a cause as any.
It is.
I mean, you're actually saving a life there in San Bernardino now. I mean, in anywhere else, like if 11 people died, like they put it in the newspaper everywhere, you know, and it gets on Channel 9.
They want San Bernardino Dog Shelter to be back on the high kill list, so that everybody will be like, oh, let's contract because it's so they're gonna just keep killing dogs and killing dogs and killing dogs and killing. So although they gave us a year, right? They gave us a year to save face for election, right? Now for a year they're gonna kill dogs and kill dogs and kill dogs and kill dogs.
Not if we can help it.
Got till November.
So stand up, and when you see your politician or your local, anyone from the city manager's office, you go up to them and ask them, is it all right to kill a dog, yes or no?
And get it on video. If they don't answer you, keep it on video. And then replay it, because we'll all have to be back as a team at that city council, because this stuff is just unacceptable. And see, we're all powerless because so many people don't vote, and they know it. Like, so they laugh at us. Yes. They say, ha, 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 we got him again.
We had 12 minutes 5 years ago. Now we got 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah.
Yes.
So they learn how to silence us so they can do whatever they want. But you can call me a gadfly, you can call me whatever. I'm still gonna be there.
Hey, and I think that they made that rule specifically for me, because every time
wait a second.
Every time I open my mouth, I sure got a lot of truth out of it, and they don't really like my truth.
I think they just call me a blabbermouth.
I don't know. I think they made that rule specifically for me. That's why me and Robert got to do this show. At least we get a freaking hour to say what we want.
That's right.
Now, before we end the show, I'd like to do a little bit of history if we can out here. Now, this is out of my book, Legends of the Arrowhead, right here on I Love San Bernardino Facebook group. We've been...
is that a different one?
Yeah, it was my second book I did. I have the Negative Mega Art, and this is my Legend of the Arrowhead. Okay. So this one, I've been taking now it's real cheap. It's $14.99, and all the proceeds, I'm trying to give these books away to other historical societies or anyone who's really interested. But what I've been doing is sharing each individual legend of the Arrowhead on I Love San Bernardino about every week, and I pin it up at the announcements up at the top, and you can read it and get the history of the different Arrowhead stories. But I'm going to read one of the short ones, and it's actually not really a legend. It's more a story from Dr. Smith, who was up there, and he ran the hot water Indian medicinal springs up there first, right? So he was one of the first people to be up there to actually live there, besides the Native Americans who were genocided out of there. They were literally shot, men, women, and children, and pushed out of these areas. And then later on, the Mormons did that. And then later on, they are pushed out by modern people, right, up onto the hill. Okay, but here's what he wrote. Traces of early Indians, Arrowhead Canyon. So this is a canyon right next to the Arrowhead Peak. This spot was evidently the scene of some sacred rites of the Red Men. In a narrow cleft of rocks are hundreds upon hundreds of Indian arrowheads, shot in so closely and in such numbers that to wedge in another would be an impossibility. Evidently, a celebration of some kind occurred here, at which the braves showed their skill with a bow and arrow. Now you heard that hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, all right? Let me explain something to you about Native American tools. You reuse them. You re-flint knap them, right? Unless they're a ritual artifact, right? Mm-hmm. So for some reason, these arrowheads were so sacred, they were piled in a huge quantity or cache at such a level that they were still there in mass numbers when Gerald Smith went there, and checked it out. One of the legends of the Arrowhead stories are about shooting an arrow into the actual peak, and a huge arrowhead grew out of it. I wonder if there is some relation to all the arrowheads being packed in like that. Yeah. It's just a very interesting history. Most people don't know it. Most of those arrowheads were all collected by pot hunters and put out through collections. Probably some of them are still in San Bernardino today. But it's very, very interesting to me that there's a huge cache of arrowheads right next to the huge arrowhead. So it kind of just shows more than it's not just some natural feature there. Yeah. Yes. The whole thing has actually been shaped and built. It originally may have been, I believe, this is my belief, it may originally have been some type of milky quartz feature there, but it was definitely enhanced by the Native Americans, and it was absolutely 100% enhanced by the Boy Scouts of America from the 1940s to the 1960s. So that itself makes it a piece of art. So we technically have one of the largest pieces of art in the world, with that the Friends of the Arrowhead planted 10,000 trees around that to make the actual arrowhead look better. Makes it a piece of art too. But we fail to utilize that as much as we should in our city because the people that run it usually don't care about history, or they ain't a part of it, or they don't live in the city
to see it.
Yeah. So I want to see the arrowhead everywhere. All right, this is our last minute. So tell us, how do we get a hold of San Bernardino Pause for a Cause?
We have a Facebook page. You can go and see us at San Bernardino Cause for San Bernardino Pause, and we also have a website, causeforsanbernardinopause.com.
And Gail Dowling, she'll be playing up at the center at Wrightwood Community Center on Saturday and Sunday, September 15th and 16th. And she came on and did a great show
last week.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, the week
before.
And
it was incredible. So please check out her show up in Wrightwood. And next week we may, I had confirmed, we could possibly have little Nate Dogg on here. So that will be incredible. The West Coast is back again. So this is Robert Porter with the I Love San Bernardino County radio show, and Carmel Rose in the house in San Bernardino. Pause for a Cause. Thank you, Tripod, for being on here. We love you. Thanks to Angela for having him come on. And Carmel, you want to end the show?
We're out.
We are out of here.
To that kind of place, knee deep in the hoopla, sinking in your fight. Too many
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm so tired of the buffering on my smartphone.
I'm so over it. Next.
Right? I am so over it. Next.
A radio? Next.
No buffering, just your favorite local radio station?
Next Radio uses the FM tuner that is already built into your phone, so you can listen to your favorite stations on the go. Because Next Radio uses the FM tuner already built into your smartphone, it saves on data and battery usage. When compared to streaming audio, Next Radio uses less than 1/10 of your data, and your battery will last 3 times longer. Next Radio, it's FM radio on your smartphone.
Introducing a radio inside your cell phone. Listen to all kinds of local radio stations, including KCAA 106.5 Yucaipa and 102.3 Riverside on Next Radio. Download the free Next Radio app today. 100% free, 100% fun, 0% buffering. Stop the buffer and listen to KCAA.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. Weather experts say Hurricane Florence may become a Category 5 by tomorrow. The storm has yet to peak in strength as it continues to pummel toward the East Coast. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam announced his evacuation orders.
Based on that information, I have decided to order a mandatory evacuation of Zone A in Hampton Roads and the Eastern Shore.
Navy ships in Norfolk, Virginia are being deployed to avoid Florence. Admiral Christopher Grady said the ships can better weather storms of this magnitude when they are out at sea. Top advisors for Pope Francis say the Vatican is preparing to respond to bombshell accusations made by an Italian archbishop. In an 11-page statement published in August, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano accused Pope Francis of covering up sexual misconduct by former U.S. Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. Pope Francis has refused to comment. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
Success Partner presents the all-new Yucaipa and Calamasa Morning Market, located on the corner of County Line Road and California Street in the city of Yucaipa. This all-new neighborhood farmers market is open from 8 a.m. to noon on most Saturdays and carries some of the freshest produce in the Inland Empire. The Yucaipa and Calamasa Morning Market now open on most Saturdays at 13669 California Street in Yucaipa. 13669 California Street in Yucaipa. More information at 909-222-9293. That number again is 909-222-9293 or email successpartner@live.com. The all-new Yucaipa and Calamasa Morning Market, now open on most Saturdays in Yucaipa. Presented by Success Partner.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Rod Williams for tonight. Mostly clear. An overnight